Assalamualaikum and hi, this is our presentation video for SCL Maths Group 5. So my name is Alpha and I'm going to start the presentation with question number 11. The following data show the number of minutes spent to complete the task. Construct, stem and leaf for the data. So we need to construct a stem and leaf based on this data. So how to do it? Firstly, we need to divide the column into two, which is stem column and leaf column. For the stem column, we need to insert the first digit of every number. For example, the number 22, we need to insert the first number 2 here, and then for the number 35, we need to insert the first digit of the number 35, which is 3. And so on for the rest of the number 2, 3, 4, and 5. And for the leaf column, we need to insert the second digit of every number based on the first digit based on the digit on the stem column. For example, number 22, we insert 2. 23, we insert the number of 3. For the number of 25, so we have double number of 25, so we insert 2 number of 5, and so on until 29. So after we insert all the number, we will get this type of stem and leaf. So from that, we can conclude that the highest frequency is 3 and 5 because 3 and 5 has the most number, and for the maximum value is 58 because it is the biggest number, 58, based on the data. And for the minimum value is 32 because it is the smallest number based on the data.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Aiman Afiqan Zakaria. My matrix number is 12020. I will explain to you on question 14. First question, we need to construct a distribution frequency table and an ogive. First things first, we need to find max value and its minimum value, which we will get from the data given. Max value 2.109 and the minimum value is 1.894. Second step, we need to find the range of scores by max value minus by the minimum value. We will get 0.215. Then we need to find its number of classes by using stage formula. K equals to 1 plus 3.3 log n. N is the number of data, which is 50, and K is the number of classes. Then from the stage formula, we can find the number of classes, which is 7 after we rounded the 6.6. For the class size, can find this by dividing between the range of scores and the number of classes, which then we will get 0.031. For the class interval, we can find it by plus the minimum value with the class size, which we will repeat the process until the max value achieved. For the relative frequency, the formula is the frequency divided by the total frequency. Then we will get the distribution frequency table like this. We have here we have a 7 class. For information, for the ogive, we need to use classmate x as class midpoint and y value as cumulative relative frequency. Then the ogive we will get like this. For the second question, the answer is yes. The amount of soft drinks used in the bottles mostly from 1.987 to 2.017 was used, which is we can get this from the table we get in the previous slide, which is it has the highest frequency of 15. So that's all from me. I will pass the slide to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Akmal Akila. So for question 18, the weight and the number of babies are given in the table. First, construct a table of data for weight, midpoint, frequency, cumulative frequency, and fx. For question 8, calculate the mean, median, and mode of the weight in the samples. For mean, we use the formula of total fx over total f. We get the answer 3.4. For median, we find the n over the observation, which is 25th, and we will get the median class 3 until 3.5. Next, we use this formula to get the median. Lm is the lower boundary for median class. Fl is the cumulative frequency before median class. Fm is the frequency of median class, and C is the class interval. So we will get the answer 3.36. Next, for mode, we use this formula. L is the lower boundary of the model class. D1 is the frequency of model class minus the class before. D2 is the frequency of model class minus the class after. C is the class interval. We will get the answer 3.3. Next, for question B, calculate the value of x so that 80% of the data is higher than x. So we use this formula. K is the low boundary of PK class, K is the percentage, Fk minus 1 is the cumulative frequency before class of PK, Fk is the frequency of class PK, and C is the class interval. So the answer will be 3.875. So that's all from me. I'll pass to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Rahmani binti Razaki. My matrix number is AS11758. So today I'm going to present one of the questions from SCL ASM0405. Okay, so the first thing that I did was I made a table so it's easy for me to calculate later. So X is the number of passengers while F is the number of cars. Okay, because the question gives us the mean, so we can use the mean formula to find our first equation. So this is from the question given, and then this is from the table that I've calculated earlier. So as a result, we got this as our first equation. So the second equation, we can use standard deviation formula because the question already gives us the standard deviation. This is the standard deviation that have been given in the question. And this is the mean, and then this is from the table that I've calculated earlier. So as a result, we got this as our second equation. So in order to find the value of x, we need to substitute the value of y from the first equation. And then after substitution and calculation, we will get x is equal to 4. After getting the value of x, we can substitute the value in our first equation to get the value of y. So after calculate, we will get y is equal to 7. So as a result, end of our result is x is equal to 4 and y is equal to 7. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, I am Izzatul. I will explain for question 24. For question 24, we need to find the mid-quartile and inter-quartile range for the IQ scores. We know that the first quartile is equal to the 25th percentile and third quartile is equal to 75th percentile. We need to find R because R will determine for the next step which equation we will use to determine the first quartile or third quartile. For example, we will calculate the first quartile. We use the formula R equals to nk over 100. We just calculate and we get the R, which is not an integer. So because the number have two decimal places, we need to use this formula, which is J. We will look at J's observation where J is the smallest integer greater than R. And we know that 5 is the smallest integer greater than R. And we look at the fifth data, which is 127. So the first quartile is 127, and we use the same step for the third quartile. Next, so for mid quartile, we will use this formula, which is first quartile add with third quartile divide by 2. While interquartile range, we will use this formula, which is third quartile subtract with first quartile. For question B, we need to draw a frequency distribution data table, and we know that the data contains different and non-repetitive values. So when we know this, we need to find class interval to enable us to draw frequency distribution table and extract those data. We need to find the number of classes which we will use stage formula as you can see, and then we find range. So when we have these two value, we can calculate class size by using this formula, and then we extract those formula and we put it in the table. Class interval, we start by using the first data which is 118 until 124, and class midpoint, add these two value and divide it by 2. For the frequency, we calculate how much number of post-SLC students in this range, in this class interval. Next, the relative frequency, we will use this formula, and cumulative relative frequency, just add from cumulative frequency that we get the first data, add by this relative frequency, and we get this answer. Get the answer, add by this, get the answer until we get the last cumulative relative frequency, which is 1. And we know that our data is correct because we get the cumulative relative frequency 1, because cumulative relative frequency must be 1.